Yo, what is good, guys? In this video we are going to be restoring a pair of 1985 Chicago 1s. These shoes are old enough to be my dad.
What?
You're not my dad!
Now these shoes aren't as bad as the last couple of videos that I made. That's because these shoes came from a different client. You see, the past couple of videos, that client was actually Shrek's son. That's why they were a little bit muddy, a little bit gritty. You know, who knew that Shrek's son was a sneakerhead? Alright guys, so I want to give a shout out to Naskai for letting me use their beats in this video. The beats are pretty dope. It's the beat that is playing right now. It sounds sick, so if you guys want to listen more, go in the description below and check out their Spotify. Alright, now to go back in the restoration, these need a sole deoxidation, a repaint on the upper leather, a whitening on the tongue, and a brand new swoosh. So what I'm doing right now is applying antimicrobial dish soap onto the uppers. Right now, I'm not worried about the leather drying out because we will replenish the leather back once we're done using the dish soap. This is just to make sure that the bacteria, whatever's on the shoes, will be gone. So now that we've disinfected the shoes, we're gonna apply a little bit more moisture in the leather by using Lexol Leather Deep Cleaner. Alright guys, bear with me. This is gonna look a little crazy that I'm doing this, that I'm submerging these shoes in water, but trust me, I did it to my pair. When I got them from eBay, the collar was crunchy, the leather was stiff as a bone. And so what I did back when I was still with Air Legends, I soaked them in Air Legends cleaner and in water. And before you know it, the leather was a little bit more plush, it was a little bit more pliable. And right now, it's gonna sound so crazy, but I'm massaging the leather so it'll be more flexible. So now that the shoes have been deep cleaned, we're gonna remove the stains that are still on the tongue. Now with proper use, Clorox is beneficial and will help you whiten certain material on shoes. Not all material, but certain materials. Alright, check this guys. The reason why when you apply bleach on certain material and it turns yellow is because that material is not a natural fabric. It is artificially dyed white. So what the bleach does, it removes that white dye and exposes the natural color. So for the synthetic material that has been dyed blue, which is Cordura mesh that is on the Jordan 11 uppers and the Prime Knit on the Ultra Boost, you have to apply blue laundry detergent and then leave them outside because you need the UV rays to whiten the fabric. See, a lot of people are doing my methods by using blue laundry detergent, but the secret ingredient is the sun, or if you have a machine that emits UVB rays. That's the only way. Just the laundry detergent ain't gonna cut it. Alright guys, so now we're gonna whiten the midsole by using Retro Bright. So Retro Bright is pretty much 3% hydrogen peroxide, cornstarch or flour, and a color-safe oxygenated bleach. It's not the same as Clorox. Clorox is a chlorine bleach. We're using oxygenated bleach. Alright, I don't have any utensils, so I'm just gonna use my hand since it's just flour. So it looks like I'm just suboing the jar. Unfortunately, guys, most men have this issue where you just prematurely, and then it just gets all over the place. You know, it's a big ass mess. Unfortunately, this is my first time that's happened to me on camera, so you know, you live and you learn, and I'm gonna learn not to put too much of that OxyClean. Let me remind you guys that failure is the #1 teacher, so if you guys keep failing, that's one step closer to success, right? So keep failing until you succeed, until you're a master at it. So let me show you guys that all of that oxidation has risen to the top because that hydrogen peroxide has extracted all of that yellowing, and you could see the difference between the treated midsole and the non-treated midsole. Now a little bit of the paint chipped off because we deep cleaned the midsole, which isn't a problem since we are going to be repainting the uppers anyways. Our next step in this project is to prep the upper leather with the repaint, so all we're doing is just masking the midsole using electrical tape and general use tape. See, I'm a big fan of using the electrical tape when you're masking the midsole, whether it's rubber or polyurethane, just due to the fact that it's incredibly pliable. So the next step will be to prep the upper leather material by using acetone and cotton balls. This will make our paint adhere better to the leather itself. From the looks of these shoes, I'm pretty sure way back in the day, Some teenage boy back in the 80s used these shoes as skate shoes because that was very popular back then, to use Air Jordan 1s or Dunks as skate shoes. That's why the Nike SB is modeled after the Dunk. Boy, it took me so long just to get that paint match correct. It was so much trial and error, you guys don't even, it's probably took me about like maybe 3 hours to get the proper paint match. Now for the intricate part for this project, we're gonna be removing the tattered up, messed up swoosh by using a seam ripper. We are gonna be replacing the swoosh since these are notorious for cracking and being damaged through wear and tear. The swoosh on the Air Jordan 1s from 85 isn't made of leather. I've examined it. It's some type of hardened vinyl. So I think that's the reason why majority of the Air Jordan 1s from 85 are cracking. And yes, we are going to be using a tweezer to remove the excess thread. For the life of you, if you guys cannot remove the thread with a tweezer, go to your local mall and ask the people who remove eyebrows using the strings to do it for you. So in the beginning of the video, you saw how badly fucked up the leather was on the heel. So what I'm doing now is I'm smoothing out the damaged leather by using different grits of sandpaper. I'm going to be using 400 grit, 800 grit, and 2000 grit sandpaper to smooth out the heel. It's not necessary to wet sand the leather as long as you apply proper pressure onto the leather. I'm also going to be sanding down the toe because there are some rough spots around the toe area. Our goal is to make the leather look as smooth as possible. So the reasons why the white portions of the leather still look coke white is because the previous owner used white Angelus paint to paint the white leather, so it looks a little bit unnatural for their age. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna strip the old factory paint and the Angelus paint that the old owner used and add an eggshell white leather to match the age of the shoes. Alright guys, I'm very excited for this because this is the part of the video where you see the biggest transformation, which is all of that fucked up red leather look brand new again. And this is the part where when you sand down the leather, that extra step makes the whole process feel so complete after you paint the leather. Because if you don't sand it down after the shoes are all messed up, it's noticeable. Like the owner's gonna know that you cut corners. Damn, just look at that. The shoes already look brand spanking new. Is it me, but without the swoosh, don't they look like a great value Saint Laurent? So this is the most tedious part of the restoration since you gotta remove the stencil one by one and then put transfer paper over it. You gotta do this properly. You have to make sure that the transfer paper and the stencil are correctly bonded together, so when you put it on the leather, everything should be staying in place. Alright, so you're seeing me move it back and forth because I'm trying to see if I'm aligning it properly. The last thing I want to do is making it look like a great value Air Jordan 1. So I will be using an airbrush to fill in the lines and make sure that the Wings logo looks as factory as possible. The only way to make anything look factory is to use an airbrush. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot use a paintbrush, but you'll have less mistakes by using an airbrush because, you know, some people cake on the brush with too much paint and sometimes it'll bleed. So foolproof is to use an airbrush. If you guys are interested in purchasing these stencils, I bought them off of Sophie Soaps. I'm gonna link her IG and her shop in the description below, and you can see them on screen. The quality is legit, you know, shout out to her and her company supplier because it's close to factory as any stencil that I've ever used. The adhesion is pretty strong on the stencil, so it kind of removes some of the paint off of the lettering. So I'm just touching it up right now. Alright guys, so for this next step, I'm just applying black leather paint onto the collar. So these Cyber Monday low top ones are going to be our swoosh donors, and I'm going to be doing the same process that I've done by removing the swoosh with a what is it called again? Now we're just gonna glue the swooshes in place, and after that, we are done. So to do this step, we're just gonna apply adhesive to the leather and the swoosh. We're gonna let it cure for about 10 minutes. Then we're gonna reactivate the adhesive by using a blow dryer. Alright guys, let's be real. I'm not just gonna glue the swoosh. We're gonna do the proper way and stitch it back. I'm only gluing the swoosh back to the leather just so it'll stay in place and not wobble around when I stitch it back together. Now on my Patreon page, I will show you guys the do's and the don'ts on how to use a sewing awl. So our goal by using a sewing awl is to make it look as close to factory as possible. The best way to stitch anything together is by using a machine, but because I don't have one yet, we are going to be using a sewing awl. So become a patron if you guys want to learn in-depth tutorials, guys. That's it for this video. Be sure to like this video and subscribe.